been about 2 weeks since I've picked a camera up. You guys might have saw in the last video, we were out in Crossbar Ranch. Had my X3 in this rock bounty course. Fractured my thumb. Rolled the machine over. Had to get some stitches and stuff too. That's healing up well, but gonna be wearing this brace, it looks like, for the next couple weeks. So dexterity hasn't been super good, so kind of just been hanging out the past couple weeks. Has been a couple things I've been working on. Got this nice C7 Corvette in here. This has a built motor, D1 Pro charger. Pretty nice car overall, but it's on 93 in meth. But this guy had the engine rebuilt by someplace local, and then some shop in Michigan tuned it, and it's honestly not that good after reviewing the data log with my friend Matt Sanford. So it has some low RPM drivability issues. It was tuned math only, just not a super good setup. So we're working on getting this thing figured out for this guy, but outside of that, just kind of been chilling. So dealing with this fractured thumb, you don't realize how good you have it physically until, well, you're unable to use something that you use every day. Just kind of been working through some pain with this. Not super bad, it's just a matter of trying to not use it so it heals up correctly. But got some x-rays and stuff once I got back, and I think we're on the right path to getting this thing healed. But this coming weekend, we're going to be going to Indianapolis for the Indy 800 and the Cleetus and Cars event there. So super excited about that. But we've got some work to do on the Badillac. You might remember when we had it down in Florida a few weeks ago, did a kind of aggressive tip in. And ended up putting it into the wall. So since then, we've gotten the driver's rear fender pulled out a little bit. It's looking a lot better there. Guys also might remember I ordered a replacement gas tank for it, or fuel cell, so we could run it at Crossbar Ranch. Didn't order the exact one that was in it, so that's going to need to be addressed. Actually got the old one welded up, so that's going to be going back in the car. And then there's a couple other things that we need to get done beforehand. Also, like getting some Burnout tires mounted up, refilling the nitrous, getting some race gas. But we've got some hard parts from our friends at Holley that need to get put on. So let me show you those and kind of why we're changing this stuff out. So we've got a stack of stuff right here. First things first, we're going to be putting this thing on, this thing's going to be flex fuel capable. So this is a flex fuel sensor with this bracket mounting system that allows full flow up to -10. So from, if you were to just use the flex fuel sensor and some adapters, that's a 3/8 line right there. So it kind of necks down compared to some of the bigger hose fittings. We run -8 lines on that, so that would be a point of restriction. Maybe not necessarily for the power that we're at, but in general, this would be, the smallest point of the fuel system. So this setup here is going to allow full flow, not going to have any restriction there, and it'll make mounting this flex fuel sensor super easy. So going to be putting that on. I'm not exactly sure yet. Might be right off the fuel cell on the fuel pump. Might be off the fuel filter. I'm going to look around a little bit and determine the best place to mount this, but it's going to be cool to be able to run E85 or 93 octane in this thing, because I do plan on driving it quite a bit on the road. While we're on the topic of fuel, so the fuel pump module we have in this thing is a super nice piece from Holley, and you guys saw the old fuel cell, but a problem that we do have is that fuel cell isn't baffled. There's no foam in it, so when you run the fuel low, you can get some fuel slosh issues. If you're turning left, all the fuel is going to want to go to the right. The fuel pump is on the left, so you can starve the fuel pump. Just not super ideal. So Holley has an assortment of these things in different sizes called hydromats, and they're basically a sock that goes on the fuel pump as like a pre-filter type thing, but they're huge, and they provide a lot more coverage at the bottom of your fuel cell. So you're a lot less likely to starve your fuel pump and run into, dropping fuel pressure and stuff when your fuel level is low. So I'm going to show you that right now. So like I said, they have these hydromats in various sizes, but this one was the one that's going to work best for our application. This is, it's giant. Like, I think it's an 18-inch one. So it's going to sit on the fuel pump, just snaps on like a normal strainer. But again, it's very thick. Obviously much bigger probably 3 or 4 times bigger than the one that's on it right now. So we're going to get this installed when we swap that fuel cell out. And this is just going to make driving this thing on the street a lot more practical. I have issues with my Crown Vic. It just has standard strainers on the fuel pump, and if I run that low enough, it kind of starves it for fuel sometimes. So I should probably put 2 of these on that because that's a dual fuel pump setup, but this is going to be sweet. We'll show you the installation of that. And also, when we were out at Crossbar Ranch, we ran into some issues with the O2 sensor. So the O2 sensor was reading like 35 to 1, so it was reading super lean. So it was pouring a bunch of fuel at it and just making it run kind of rough. So we got a new O2 sensor for it. The Terminator X uses a specially calibrated O2 sensor, so you can't just use a standard Bosch 4.9 O2 sensor that you might be able to get from an autos parts store. So you need this specific one. So we'll be able to get that doing closed loop fueling again. That'll be a lot safer, should drive better. And then we also got a new shift cable for this thing. So the cable we had on it, one of the ends kind of broke close to the transmission, so we welded that up. But this is B&M's heavy duty shift cable. I don't know if I can open it with one hand, but you guys know what a shift cable looks like. So we got to get that swapped out, adjusted all good and stuff. Would hate to be going into that burnout and do a shift, 1 to 2, and the cable breaks and we can't get it into high gear to get that wheel speed up. So got to get that changed out. So nothing really crazy needs to be done to the car. It held up super good at Crossbar Ranch. Just a couple small things we need to get fixed. So yeah, I've just been moving kind of slow the past couple weeks with this thing. But don't forget, if you guys want to support this journey, I've got a link to our Patreon account below. Also the link to my website, got merch on there, side-by-side parts, can get pretty much anything side-by-side related. So if you need anything, get a hold of me. I'll get you guys taken care of on that. And again, it just goes towards making this whole show happen. So would appreciate your support there. But for now, I'm going to go grab the Badillac, get it pulled over here, and start swapping some of this stuff out. Well, here it is. Of course, it's windy out, but you can see the back fender pulled out pretty decently. I'm going to need to do something with this fastener right there at some point to get that to tuck in, but it looks a heck of a lot better than what it did. So let's get this thing pulled over to the other side, get that O2 sensor changed out. Might have to loosen up the V-band in here to get that exhaust to come up a little bit. It's a little pulled down from when we hit that wall, but yeah, what a great car. Just how reliable this thing has been is pretty crazy. So this thing just fires right up every time. Not working, that's a tough thing to deal with, especially when it's your dominant hand. We're making it happen though. All right, old sensor came out, pretty much no drama. There's the new one. Not super surprising that old one went bad. I mean, this thing's been essentially cold started and then put on a 7,400 RPM rev limiter for the last 2 years, so not a shock there. So we'll get this installed and then turn the closed loop fueling back on and see how it idles and runs. All right, the O2 sensors swapped out, so all we got to do is go into our software and enable closed loop. It's the only thing we changed, so go into here, send to ECU. Okay, now let's see what this O2 sensor is reading. Like anywhere between 20 to 35 to 1, so it was reading pretty lean, so it was just dumping a bunch of fuel. This seems a little more accurate. Hey, Kyle came over. We're changing the gas tank again. That's pretty cool. Glad I ordered the wrong one.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. At least it's not mounted, really.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too big of a job. Got these sophisticated straps that we're going to pull off, and I just got to pull that fuel pump out again. Going to have to reset the depth on that. for the other tank, and because we have this, did you see this thing? It looks like a big ton, but it's actually...
You're not wrong, it's yours.
It ain't big enough for me.
That's pretty cool. That's big. Which that's what we need, this thing. I mean, when you're slinging this around, luckily, when we top it off every time we do a burnout, like, make sure it's topped off. But it's going to slosh around.
Right.
You know, there's no baffles in here, so this should work.
Yep. I want to get 2 of those for the Crown Vic because I got 2 fuel pumps in that, but I think that'd be...
That's ideal.
That'd be really good. There's been several occasions where I've went around a corner because I've, ran her a little low and she shuts off.
Yeah. Remember last November when we almost didn't make it?
Yep.
And then I picked a station without E85. My bad.
We're gonna get this pulled apart. You guys saw us take this apart a couple weeks ago, so we're not gonna spend too much time on that. Maybe we'll show how we fit that hydromat in there and how the hydromat looks when it is mounted on the fuel pump. But yeah, that's essentially how it's gonna be. So that's pretty ideal.
Looks perfect.
Yeah, nice. Well, our gas tank turns out had another hole in it, so that's got to get welded up. So can't really do anything with that today. Moved on to the shifter cable. That was kind of a pain. We didn't really show you how that was cobbled, but essentially the cable was welded because it had broke.
Right.
And we had to cut it off because it was welded in a way that prevented us from just, taking it off. So we got this doodad here. This part right here, the part with the cotter pin end, goes into the lever on the transmission to shift things. But we've unfortunately...
It broke.
It broke off in there. So I think we're going to try and heat it up and get it to unthread, and then we'll be able to go back together.
Right. I mean, it looked like it was essentially thread on this. This had some weld, but it looked like it was past the weld, and just the threads were dirty, nasty. Thought it would just come right apart. You put a little pliers on it and just snap right off. So hopefully it comes out.
Yep. We're going to heat it up with the old MAP gas. Let's see what happens, I guess. Oh, yeah.
I hit some more PV Blaster. Just try to get some lube down in there.
Yeah, ideally the threads inside that thing are okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't be, but also just broke the other piece of it off. That's super good. Great.
Sweet.
All right, it's the next day. Our friend Justin at Be Cool Radiators got the gas tank welded up for us. Second time fixing that crack that we had on the bottom of it. So that's cool. I got the fuel pump module out of the new old gas tank, ready to go into, or almost ready to go into the old new gas tank, I don't know. But I figured I'd show you guys the difference in like a factory pickup sock type thing and the Holley hydromat. So the difference is very big. So I showed you guys the part, but when you compare it to the factory sock, you'll see what a huge difference this is going to actually make. So here is the factory sock. You know, this is just pretty standard automotive sock for a fuel pump, pre-filtered. I don't know what the micron rating of it is, but standard size. This is kind of dirty. It hasn't been changed out since this vehicle was built a couple years ago, so there's some residue on there, likely from the AN hoses and stuff like that, assembly, yada, yada, yada. And then the hydromat, big dog right here. So this thing is thick. This thing is freaking long. Just a huge difference in size. So like I said, this is going to greatly help with fuel slosh, fuel pickup. Definitely never want to starve an engine for fuel, especially when you're, a nitrous application or forced induction. All right, next day, got the gas tank back in, got 2 full 15-pound nitrous bottles. Everything's hooked up under here. I got about 6 gallons in this thing. And when I had it outside of the car, I had it tilted on its side just to make sure there were no leaks. And it seemed good, but we're just going to run it to a little low for now, maybe overnight. Make sure we don't waste $100 worth of Renegade Pro E85. So we'll wait on that. Shift cable's installed. So we're just going to fire this up quick. Make sure it Still runs. Priming a couple times. Here's some of that air. All right, let's see if she takes. Well, probably should put it in park. That'd be smart. Guys, it's the next day. Went to the doctor today, had my hand looked at again. Good news, not gonna need surgery on this. That motorcycle needs some surgery though. That thing sounds like trash. So I'm gonna be in this for I think the next 6 weeks. Gonna conquer that. We'll get through it. Tough deal, 6 weeks. Even tougher deal, the wind that's going on. You know it's gonna be here. But we got the Badillac on the trailer. Got the wiring all done on that. It's filled up with fuel. No leaks there. So we're about ready to head down to Cleetus and Cars. So it's Wednesday. We're leaving tomorrow morning. We're going to get set up in the vendor area. Got some merch to sell, some hats, shirts, all that good stuff. And hopefully we'll be talking to a lot of you guys down there. So very excited to head down there. Hopefully bring home a big win. That'd be ideal. So appreciate your guys' support in this matter. A lot of new stuff is coming for the Badillac. Also, check this golf cart out. We've had this thing for freaking 20 years. Also, I rolled that when I was in 5th grade. Broke my arm. That was not cool, but I've had a lot of good memories on that thing. I've ran that for probably hundreds of miles around this building when I was a kid. Probably one of the things that got me interested in driving things. I don't know. But, yeah, we're going to have that down there. Probably going to do some call-outs for some golf cart races. We'll see what we can get away with there. But, yeah. Appreciate your guys' support in this matter. We'll see you in a couple days.